keep you. He will not take you where he has not been. Every long road is paved by the blood of the Lamb. So always remember to follow him. He will not lead you. He will not lead you where he can't keep you. No, no. He will not take you where he has not been. Where he has not been. Every long road. Every long road is paved by the blood of the Lamb. So always remember to follow him. Brother, do you know?
Well, good morning and welcome to Friday. As you would say, thank God it's Friday. It's the end of another week. We've had a wonderful week. We are all here together. It's been a joy and a privilege to be with you over this past week as we continue our Lenten observance. I trust that it has been a time of great growth for you and great exposure to things that you might not have considered yourself through the past months and years. But when we're in our wilderness and we seek to discover self, we can oftentimes come face to face with aspects of ourselves that we didn't really know existed. But yes, they're there and they form a good part of who we are and who we will be going forward. So our times in the wilderness are important times that we should not devalue or skip over. And I really trust and pray that you're using this Lenten time to its fullest. And don't forget to make those special times to be with God and to keep your journal. Just keep notes of what thoughts arise, what new learnings, what aha moments you have. And see where you've been when this period comes to an end and we go into the period of Easter and beyond. So, thank you for being with me this past week. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your well wishes as we continue this journey together. The weekend is upon us, and I trust that we may go into the weekend with an inner joy. And remember, Sundays in Lent are little Easters, and they're not part of the Lenten observance. So enjoy and be at peace. So return to our meditation, our time of quiet. Be still and know that I am God. Words that invite us into the quiet place. Words that lead us deep within ourselves. Remembering that place of stillness, that place of peace, that original place. And we breathe into that space, reminding ourselves of its presence, its eternal presence with us. We're in that deep place, waiting to be with God, waiting for the divine to show up to speak with us. We've come. We are still. And we await some word into our hearts this day. Some word, some precious word. Here I am. Here I am, Lord. Here I am. Turn to our reading. Jesus is in the Judean countryside, and he spent some time there, and he was baptized, and John also was baptizing at Ainon and near Salem. There was abundance of water. People kept coming. This was before John was thrown into prison. And there arose a discussion about the purification between John's disciples and a Jew. And they came to John and said to him, "Rabbi, the one who was with you across the Jordan, to whom you testified, here is baptizing, and all are going to him." John answered, "No one can receive anything except what is being given from heaven. You yourselves are my witnesses that I said, I am not the Messiah, but I have been sent ahead of him. He who has the bride is the bridegroom. The friend of the bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice. For this reason my joy has been fulfilled. He must increase, but I must decrease. The one who comes from above is above all. The one who is of the earth belongs to the earth and speaks about earthly things. The one who comes from heaven is above all. He testifies to what he has seen and heard, yet no one accepts his testimony. Whoever has accepted his testimony has certified this, that God is true. He whom God has sent speaks the words of God, for he gives the Spirit without measure. The Father loves the Son and has placed all things in his hands. Whoever believes in the Son has eternal life. Whoever disobeys the Son will not see life, but must endure God's wrath.
Sister, have you heard? You can know his will. Just look in his word. He has promised never to forsake you, nor to leave you. Safe within his arms, he'll never let you go. He will not lead you where he can't lead you. No, no. He will not take you where he has not been. Where he has not been. Every long road, every road is paved by the blood of God. His precious blood. Always remember to follow him. You're pressed on every side. Every tear's been cried.
It makes you wonder, really and truly. How John must have felt as he witnessed Jesus coming and taking over, as it were. What he might have experienced when he saw Jesus and, in a sense, felt Jesus' presence around him, and in some way realized that his time was over. John says, he must increase, I must decrease. That sense of increasing and decreasing is a very normative experience in our world. Things are always increasing and things are always decreasing. You see it as an individual. You come into the world, and for most of your life it's about you and what you want to become, what you want to do. Your parents are there and you are receiving from them, and they're providing for you, and you're growing and you're becoming. And you don't really think about it until you have a child. And you come to a point in that journey and you realize it's no longer about you. It's about this little one that God has blessed me with. I must decrease while she increases. I must fuel her way into the world, just as my parents would have fueled my way into the world. And they would have decreased and they would have disappeared off the physical scene. Just as I am in the process of decreasing and my daughter is increasing, preparing for her career, her time in the world. While I decrease, I approach retirement, approach my own shutdown. He must increase and I must decrease. A sobering thought for us all. It speaks to the continuity of this thing we call existence. And it helps us to realize that it really is not about us. At no stage, whether it is in the stage of increasing or in the stage of decreasing, it really is not about us. It's about all of us. And when we say it's about all of us, then we are also saying it's about God, because God is all of us. Increasing and decreasing. We may be tempted to hold on. John's disciples come to him and they're telling him that, others are going after this man Jesus. And John says, well, don't forget, I myself testify that I am not the one. You're witnesses to that. John is quite conscious of his role and what his purpose was, and that it was coming to the end. As far as John was concerned, John was the friend of the bridegroom, and he was delighted at the bridegroom's presence. It was not John's purpose in life to hold the bride. That's not his purpose. It's so important that we understand what our purpose is, and we understand when our time to decrease comes. I think that's one of the challenges in our world. Sometimes we don't know when to let go. And sometimes we will hold on, even though our holding on hinders the process, the greater process. It's not John's purpose to hold on. John had done his bit. And so John could decrease. There's no shame in decreasing. There's no failure in decreasing. As a matter of fact, there is success in the fact that you would have done your bit. You would have made it possible for the one coming after you to have something of worth. But we get so caught up in our own small selves that we fail to recognize that we are a part of a greater whole. And a day comes when we will be no more. And we have no say in it. The older we get, the more we are inclined to understand this. But yes, there are persons that refuse to understand it. Because they have so identified themselves with the things that they do that if we stop doing those things, then we lose sight of who we are. John doesn't lose sight of who he was, even though the crowds were no longer following him. John says, I'm a voice crying in the wilderness. John understands his work. And when there's no need for that voice anymore, John realizes that his work is done. It would be wonderful if we could see the world like that as individuals. And know when it is time to celebrate the one who is increasing. And to quietly leave the space that will allow the other to grow. And to become. We see it in nature. How trees give out their little shoots. And at times they die off, and the upcoming shoot uses the old tree to draw sustenance. Could be humans with the ability to be conscious and to reflect. Can we come to that of maturity where we understand the importance of letting go and being thankful that we were included in the process of preparing for the next generation? I think the next generation has such a challenge in these times. The work that needs to be done is work that will require much vibrance and vitality. The kind of vitality that those of us leaving the stage no longer have. I watch my students and I'm intrigued with their energy and their willingness to go out there and take on the world. A world that is changing so rapidly. And you realize that in so many ways you are out of touch with this emerging world. I say to students that we are preparing you for a church that doesn't yet exist, but it is in the birthing process. And I hope you're ready for it. We all need to understand this flow of life, this sense of increasing and decreasing. We see it all around us. We see it in our family life. We see it in our jobs. There's always the increasing and the decreasing. It is life. Would that we may be mindful of it, so that we don't become bitter when we are called to decrease, but that we celebrate the other as we give thanks for the part that we have played thus far. I trust, I pray, I hope that each and every one of us can see that bigger picture and realize that this is all about life. This is everything to do with life. Death and resurrection. Birth and death, death and birth. May we, as we continue in our journeys, play our part in the way that God has invited us to. I pray God bless you. Have a glorious weekend.
Trials on every hand, but try to understand. He alone will carry you when you can go no further. Take you to